banking cleanup required 9 billion.
Oh, but
provide it.
You said that is the liquidity.
Initially.
What liquidity what? Liquidity what? Liquidity what?
To save votes.
In 2025.
Anyway,
Abusiamunim Egyapa Mercer. Egyapa Mercer one of NPP. A former deputy ministers and now energy minister or former deputy energy minister. Now Egyapa Mercer will be a woman. Sometimes no me dwene ho amenti ase se oko debates na okasa na ohwe na ensem na ayeko no and go in favor of him na Egyapa Mercer all of a sudden wa adopt some shouting strategy bi na okasa na ochim na tise Dr. Zelto semunim no MPP political analyst Dr. Zelto yes na all of a sudden no owura na kasa na ochim na wotietie it tells you say asem no ya foforo no so on say se woni obi kuntokwa na all of a sudden no hu se ntokwa no mu ya dia bu se na opeso wudwane ko so obi echi yes that is how Egyapa Mercer o making arguments. Now in this video no owura ye friend no lawyer Edudzi Tamaklo aid the president John Dramani Mahama enye no kwa osanso de CEO edema National Petroleum Authority on ene da no director legal edema ndc amanyuko no yes sabapa we wa ben papa na yen na enim say this week fu obo akosoro yes this is crowd ye tono 19 cedis per liter and petrol ye tono somewhere around 15 point something a liter inti amase bia so sheka kraba kurumu but enkrofo kiremu a analysis a mu kiremu a MPP aban baaye from 2017 to 2024 omontimi anase 2025 there was no single fuel decrement anase fuel reduction yet enkofo we ekukuru sebiebu sebinya ado ye fuel price ekopim baby we na sparky controversies any commentaries out there yenkotie nkomo no very crucial misra yenti bi yakoba beto so kira wadwo comment section God bless you
President John Dramani Mahama
A good rebuttal to my learned senior. And
it was supposed to be an opening.
Yes, but you see, I remained very calm for obvious reason. I knew I have the benefit of a quick response. My senior this morning asserts that Ghana's democracy is under attack. And the basis for this assertion, according to him, is that today bail conditions are obnoxious. Yes. That's the point he makes. Regrettably, my learned senior, who at all material time was a deputy minister, never found anything wrong when a court in this country imposed a bail of 100 million Ghana cedis on no other person but Dr. Kwabena Duffuor. Between the two of us, with the greatest of respect to him, Dr. Duffuor is an accomplished Ghanaian, deputy governor, minister of finance. Our courts never found the basis to even give him a self-recognizance bail, 100 million, until his lawyers further prayed and it was reduced, okay, to 65, please, I'm coming, to 65 million.
Forcing as well.
Democracy was never under attack.
Forcing was giving self-recognizance bail.
Senior, calm down. When you were talking, I have always maintained that with patience, you'll be able to dissect even the ants.
With patience,
you'll be able to dissect even the ants.
Please wrap up for me.
I'm wrapping
this is not supposed to be part of our discussion.
Please, I beg you. The other thing, at that time, democracy was never under attack. A high court imposed 250 million Ghana cedi bail on Mike Ninaku of BÜG Bank. It has to take the Court of Appeal to review that bill to 20 million. Democracy was never under attack. First of all, I think we can be fair in our conversation. If you want to criticize the Mahama administration, it is purely within your constitutional rights. But what we will not accept are the very people who desecrated our democracy, the rule of law, to now suddenly become the apostles of the rule of law and democracy. We will not permit that sacrilege. Unfortunately, our friends in the NPP claim they are friends of the late Dr. Omane Boama. They are friends of Ibrahim Mutala, among others. Exactly 1 year of the anniversary of their passing. That is when they have decided to mock their passing with this ill-timed, ill-conceived demonstration. I feel so sorry today that on the 6th of August, when eminent Ghanaians lost their life and there is planned anniversary for say, that is when the MPP led by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia have decided to desecrate their memory with this ill-timed demonstration. I feel so sorry. I thought these guys are our friends. I never knew that for them, everything is politics. I feel so sad this morning. It's a pity.
All right, so we'll come to the substance of the reasons why you want to rebut again.
Indeed,
what rebuttal again?
Indeed,
maybe let that be the topic and let's go into it.
One moment, just a quick one. Indeed, 6th August 2025 was a sad day for many, in fact, all Ghanaians with the unfortunate passing.
Afoko was granted bail by a high court in this country.
Okay.
Look at how the government frustrated him.
Please, I have to stop our comments on this.
Weaponization of state institutions,
weaponization,
free speech,
please,
criminalizing free speech.
Gentlemen, please let's move on to the substantive issue.
Remember, the issue is brought to you by the unit. No, let's talk on the substantive. It was just an introductory comment that I expected everybody else. It's okay. It shouldn't degenerate into big issue. Is sponsored by the University of Gold Coast, and right here you can also watch us across TV3 Ghana. And if you want that specialist MBA in marketing, communications, operations, supply chain, HR, finance, entrepreneurship, innovation, business, intelligence, analytics, or you also want to advance your dual MBA and chartered manager MBA efforts in your academic career, University of Gold Coast is there for you. I'll tell you how you can reach them, but in the meantime, please make sure that you get onto their social media handles and then get the latest from the University of Gold Coast. Edudzi, we know the president says MPA, Finance Ministry, 2 cedis of diesel, etc. But it looks like it had been coming and biting hard. Is it that government cannot keep up? So, first of all, Roland, I want to thank you for the platform. President John Dramani Mahama had clearly given an indication that he cares for the people of this country. That care for the people of this country has gone beyond mere words to actionable relief for the people of this country. That relief that he had provided has seen clear evidence, expression in savings made by the people of this country. And let me put on record, nobody anticipated that on the 28th day of February 2026, we wake up to see the joint attack by Iraq, Israel, and the United States of America on Iran. The fallout is that we have seen prices of refined petroleum products move from $794 per metric ton by 28 February 2026 to a high of 1,333 metric tons. 1,333. That's 100% increase in the FOB price of diesel. What has helped this country is the fact that, and I salute the finance minister, the Honorable Ato Forsen, the Governor of Bank of Ghana, Esiama, the excellent work my brother Sami Jemfi is doing at the Good Board, which has significantly provided a clear buffer for the Ghana cedi. In fact, if the Ghana cedi had further depreciated to the 14, 17 Ghana cedi that we witnessed under the tenor of some people, today we'll be selling diesel a liter for 28 Ghana cedis. But for the stability of the Ghana cedi, it has absorbed the impact of almost 80% increase in the FOB price of diesel. That for me is highly commendable. I wish to point out that if you observe the recent increase in petrol prices, as at 29th, Wednesday 29th of July 2026, a metric ton of diesel was selling for $1,333. Please take the numbers. $1,333 per metric ton for diesel. That is a massive increase from what we have experienced. And as a result of this, it has seen a jump in the FOB component. You will notice that there are three critical determinants of prices: the FOB, the exchange rates, and the component of taxes. Taxes and everything is about 21-23%. The impact of the cedi fluctuates depending on how the exchange rate is. But the FOB component is about 60%. So if you are putting weight on them, you will see that the weight attached to the FOB component is very high. So anytime that changes, the impact is always massive. However, the impact on the exchange rate on the pricing is more direct and immediate. So you notice that the pricing is done in windows. So an average of the FOBs are picked. Then, the FOBs, like maybe 14 days, then an average is struck. That is what we use for the purposes of the computation. Roland, as we speak, under the able leadership of President John Dramani Mahama, in the midst of the global uncertainty, the president didn't fold his arm. The president took a leadership position and said, let the state intervene by absorbing the skyrocketing fuel prices. I want to submit today that has brought significant relief to our people. 2 cedis on every liter of petrol, diesel for close to 2 months. That is significant. You cannot underwrite. What it simply means is that for every gallon of diesel purchase, the state is giving you 9 cedis. I'm trying to see whether this thing had happened in the last few years, but for President John Dramani Mahama. I cannot conclude my submission by making this reference. My attention has just been drawn to a speech delivered by former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo whilst addressing workers on the 1st of May 2022. At that address, the General Secretary of TUC pleaded with His Excellency that, Mr. President, the price of petroleum products are going up. So, Mr. President, with respect, intervene. And I give the date, 1st May 2022. So please, Mr. President, intervene by cushioning. I don't know if your producer is here, Shadrach. Shadrach, please. It's a news report by TV3. Play it. I want to seed the rest so that I am not accused of misleading the public.
Which one? The insert of the president?
The insert
during the May Day parade.
May Day parade. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I want to see the rest of my time. It's just a 2 minutes video.
To what end and purpose?
The purpose is to demonstrate that two presidents had the opportunity to respond to a direct concern of the people of this country. What one said.
Or during the crisis period.
Or during crisis period. What one said and what the other has done. In the specific instance, I recall President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo made the point in response to workers of this country that my government is unable to do anything about the prices. In fact, he makes the point that if he intervenes, government is going to lose taxes. So he opted to protect tax revenue instead of providing any form of relief for our people. I think at this point, and since the incest is a TV3 incest, I would make this humble prayer, Roland, a very humble prayer, that my exhibit 1 for A1, no, this one will be exhibit A for A1. Please play that insert. I see the rest of my time.
Well, if Shadrach gets the insert, then he will play. Yeah. So there's a question I want to ask. On the 16th of July, there was an announcement of an increment by one of the OMCs. Then 21st, and then also 24th. That's 3 days later. Then 2 days later, there was another increment that was announced. But yet you say the pricing window and the considerations thereof that are made is a 2-week period. Why did we have that in a space of some 10 years?
Excellent. So what happened? And in fact, this issue, myself and my directors reached out to COMAC and reached out to the seaboard people that there is a window pricing. But we have noticed that within that window, okay, they have taken steps contrary to what has been agreed. And so between us, and you see, I do not want to run an authority that works arbitrarily. And so I have to reach out to these two key stakeholders. We have arranged a meeting even today to address that legitimate concern. So it's a matter. In fact, the meeting was supposed to have happened yesterday. Unfortunately, one of the key stakeholders was actually not within the jurisdiction. And so it's a major concern for the authority. Okay. But we do not want to operate an authority that is whimsical. We want to engage stakeholders, and then we'll know. But again, my prayer this morning is that my Exhibit 1 or Exhibit A be played. I want our people to have a feel in terms of leadership response. Roland, I submit accordingly. May I yield back?
Egyapa Mercer, your response to the matters that have been put before us and the response from Edudzi.
It's surprising that today we are being told that we should praise the man who told Ghanaians when he was in opposition that events that were taking place 7,000 kilometers beyond the shores of Ghana could never, under any circumstance, have any impact on our petroleum pricing in Ghana in 2022. We should praise him today for providing relief in response to matters that are happening 8,000 kilometers away from Ghana. You see, this hypocrisy must stop. Look, I've had the benefit of being in government and working at the Ministry of Energy. And so the last thing that I want to play politics with is petroleum pricing.
Why?
Because it's not within your control, largely. The FOB price that he makes reference to. How is that within the control of President Mahama and his government? How is it within his control? But in 2022, when FOB prices, when the Brent crude price increased as a result of the invasion, the Russian-Ukraine war, to $125 per barrel, he told us that there was no way that that could impact the petroleum pricing here in Ghana. So why today?
He said that?
Absolutely. Your Shadrach hasn't got that tape. You haven't seen it before.
Shadrach, do you have that tape as well? Please
Stop
look for
it. Stop.
It's a morning of
And
tapes.
let nobody tell us that His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's government did not respond. Because you know, as a matter of fact, that the price stabilization recovery levy was suspended during that time. That had the direct physical bearing on government revenue. Last time out in April, what did they do? When they announced the reduction in the petroleum pricing, the relief, do you know what they did? It had no physical impact whatsoever. The excess funds that they had in UPPF, and how UPPF operates is as simple as this. There's a fund that is sitting at MPA that doesn't impact the public purse at all, that we all pay into to ensure that petroleum prices are uniform across the country. That fund is used to pay transporters to move the products from the depots to the fuel stations. Right? They then make payments out of the fund based on claims. So most often, indeed and in fact, sometimes the monthly claims exceeds the receipts that they get into the fund. Sometimes it's less. So the fund sits there and accumulate funds to pay the monthly claims. They had excess in that fund. That's what they used to then pay for the suspension of the months that they had removed those levies from the petroleum price. They should tell us what they are doing today.
The UPPF.
What they are doing, the 2 cedi, where it's going to come from. They should tell the good people of this country.
Where's it going to come from?
Yes, because they couldn't sustain the UPPF removal for long. Doing so would have meant that government will have to find money elsewhere to pay the transporters. So after 1 month of that suspension, they went back. So they should tell the people of this country which line item and all the components that go into the price build-up is known. He knows it. I know it. Which tax component is being reduced to provide the cushioning for the people of Ghana. And that we support the cushioning. And we think that government should do more. Because even if you offset the 1 cedi Dumso levy that they imposed when they came into government, when they told us that it's only a competent government that can impose taxes and levies for prices to remain stable and not increase. Per John Jidapo, the finance minister, is strange. I haven't heard from him since these issues came up.
The energy minister.
He's become a mumu all of a sudden. He's forgotten how to speak.
John Jidapo.
Have you heard him speak on the petroleum price increases? Because of the muff that he made in parliament.
Muff.
But what else can you describe it? He knows the facts.
So let me get this straight.
He knows the issues. But they sit and pretend as if to say that some other government was wicked and Mr. Mahama is the good guy.
Okay.
When you know that he's not.
So let me get. Can I deduce from your submission that you, in principle, because of where you worked and how you worked as a deputy minister or at the energy ministry, you support in detail the 2 cities? But you're asking the question, where is it going to come from?
Absolutely. They should tell the good people of Ghana that, look, there are these line items of taxes and levies, margins. We are reducing the Dumso levy, or we are suspending the imposition of the Dumso levy. We are reducing energy sector recovery levy. We are reducing so much so that there is clarity. So we can monitor and see the fiscal impact and what it's going to have on our public finances going forward. But to come and announce a blanket 2 cedi reduction without disclosing where that 2 cedi is coming from the price build up, for me is deceptive. Because if, like they did the other time, it had no fiscal impact, but it made it look as if to say, government was carrying some burden on behalf of the people of Ghana. It did not.
This is not a burden that the government is absorbing.
But I'm saying the government did not carry it. It is the taxes, the levies that we are paid into the UPPF fund to pay the transportation of the products from the depot to the filling stations that they suspended for a month because there's some excess money sitting in that fund. That money does not go to the consolidated fund. Atufosun, my good friend and brother, the finance minister, has no control whatsoever on the funds. But there are taxes and levies, including the price stabilization, that goes to the consolidated fund. That has physical impact on government finances. If they forfeit some of that because on the other side, they are getting a huge windfall from the crude price increases, that would be a real burden relief. That's what I'm saying. That they should disclose where the 2 cedi is coming from, so we can assess to see whether indeed and in fact government is cushioning Ghanaians or it could do more. Because it cannot be that with the exchange rate that we're seeing today, relative to what it was in 2022, 2023.
What was it in 2000?
It was high. Or 17, 14 cedis when we're leaving government. The exchange rate today is 11. The price and of course the crude was 125 in 2022. If you look at the relationship between the two, government should be doing more for the people of Ghana at this time.
Not just 2 cedis.
Not just 2 cedis. And it's important for them to disclose. And he sits here, he's worked the numbers, he knows the numbers. He should put it out now for Ghanaians to see that this is where government is making the 2 cedi reduction from, so we can assess to see whether indeed and in fact there's more that can be done, or that indeed government ought to be commended for what it has done at this point.
You support the 2 cedi absorption, but here you think government is deceptive.
Absolutely. Any relief that has to come to Ghanaians. Of course, I go to the fuel station as well. And any relief comes to me as well. I benefit. And so any relief that government can provide for the people of Ghana, certainly we will support.
Okay.
But I'm saying that be transparent, be open with us.
All right.
Tell us which line item in the petroleum price build up where this 2 cedi is coming from. And importantly, apologize to the people of Ghana for deceiving them in the past. That external factors had no impact on our petroleum prices, when indeed and in fact you knew that it did. You ought to be apologizing.
You've heard them. At the end of the day, the government or the president needs to make a big ticket decision. Now, do you allow the system to operate organically as it is and not do the subsidization, so to speak, 2 cedis, or you allow it to inch up and then it has a ripple effect on the various subsectors of the economy, transport, and the baseline is transport. Once transport goes up, even the Makola market woman who imports from China has, even though it doesn't have a direct bearing on forex, will say that I'm increasing. It has an effect on food. It has an effect on services. It has an effect on every sector, including manufacturing, etc. So the government needs to make that big decision. For you, where should the options lie? This is the best option or not? Or you want to also to Egyapa Mercer's line of argument?
Well, Roland, let me say a very good morning to Honorable Egyapa Mercer and to Honorable Leonard Council.
Both of them
the CEO. So, sorry.
So
Leonard Council, Egyapa Mercer, and Edudzi,
If,
honorable.
if you are not a lawyer, you can't call us learned because you are not.
No problem. No problem.
Your friends who are learned.
No, my friends who are learned.
Fantastic.
Let me put it that way.
They are
Roland.
uniting against you.
Oh, well.
The United Party.
Well, Roland.
Dr. Lisa, go ahead.
Yes, I think that I stand with any intervention that would cushion the Ghanaian and indeed would safeguard our macro economic environment. Roland, if you look at Ghana's mechanism in stabilizing fuel prices, it is not automatic as compared to what we see in Mexico, right, or what we see in Peru, because they have an automatic price stabilization mechanism that always takes into consideration exogenous factors. You understand? Unfortunately, the issue about ESLA has not been the best, and we know where it is predicated from. The mismanagement of the economy by the MPP and how they manage our economy, including ESLA, today has affected even the 2025 budget, because it is unprecedented. And I want to state emphatically that ESLA had a bailout of 12.85 billion Ghana cedis in 2025. Unprecedented in the history of our republic.
Unprecedented.
Unprecedented. Edudzi knows what I'm talking about. Egyapa Mercer knows what I'm talking about.
ESLA.
ESLA. Now, they collateralized ESLA and created an SPV in the form of Dachi PLC and raised bonds to
That
the
one
tune
was ESLA PLC.
Yeah, ESLA PLC.
The Dutch one is...
Sorry, ESLA PLC. And then they raised $1.5 billion to meet the deficits when it comes to our educational infrastructure. Nothing to write home about.
What's your point with this?
My point is that for what we are seeing today, and what I would say a credible opposition is seeing today, I think that the prices of fuel have been better at the pump as it would be under the macro environment of the MPP.
Despite a crisis period?
Despite the crisis period, because I like the fact that he's quoted the Russia-Ukraine war. Today, is the Russia-Ukraine war over? The Russia-Ukraine war, is it over?
Russia-Ukraine?
War, is it over?
It's still on.
It's still on. Now we have a new war that has blocked the Strait of Hormuz. So these are two wars as compared to their regime, their time.
So one
And,
war then,
two wars then. But look at the prices, and taking into consideration the amended ESLA Act, where a 1 CD levy was imposed onto our prices at the pump. Roland, let us also look at the CD and its stability today. From 2022 to 2024, the CD depreciated by 77%. The CD between 2022 to 2024 depreciated by 77%. Unprecedented. And then all of a sudden in 2025 it appreciated by 41%. So imagine if we were going to continue with this decline under the MPP, what the prices of fuel will be at the pump today. So I am surprised what my brother is saying this morning. And let me reference him to the IMF policy notes 2025 that stated that indeed exogenous factors amplified our economic woes because the fundamentals were weak. IMF policy notes 2025. But they always rush to say that it is the Russian-Ukraine war that has caused the problem. It is the Russian-Ukraine war that has caused the problem. But indeed, if you look at the IMF policy notes, it would state clearly that it was the structure of the economy that they left, that the economy that they sank in abyss, and the mismanagement of the economy that created all these economic woes that we face.
So from what you're saying, you're indicating if you are imprudent in your financial management and the economy is very weak, when you're having all these exogenous
the forest aspect would cushion you. Okay? Now you cannot compare an exchange rate of $1 to 17 or 18 cedis to what we're having today. Roland, this is beyond common. I mean, it's below common sense. I'll put it that way. You cannot compare the exchange rates then to now, and how the prices of fuel would be at the pump today. And with even the amended ESLA Act, where they've even imposed 1 CD levy onto the price of fuel at the pumps, we should commend them for what they are doing as a responsible opposition. I would not sit down here and distort the fact that they have managed our macro environment very well, which today is cushioning us. Now, let's go to the real substance of the matter. If you look at our regional average as sub-Saharan Africa, right, the component of tax on our fuel, Ghana is higher than even the regional average of between 25 to 30%. We are about 40%, right? And I think that the time has come for us to relook how we implement our fiscal policy. Because we normally target through the indirect way rather than targeting the direct way of taxing people in our country. And indeed, as a nation, we need to have that discipline to be able to pay more taxes and indeed pay income taxes. Roland, how many of our people pay income taxes in Ghana today? How many of our people pay income taxes? And that is why we are overburdened with indirect taxes. The other thing that I want to see government do is to reform, and Edudzi is here, I'm happy he's here, to reform the MPA. Allow the MPA to be autonomous in deciding the stability of the petroleum prices, rather than taking input from the Ministry of Finance that would have to use some form of executive instrument to order them to reduce their prices or increase their prices. And there should be an automatic price stabilization mechanism in place, so that at any point in time when the prices of fuel or crude oil increase, the tax reduces. If it is lesser, then the tax increases. Another thing that we have to look at as a country is to invest highly in the tank farms to store and petroleum products, so that at a point where the prices of crude oil is less, government can step in to purchase more diesel and then petrol, so that when in times of crisis where the prices are higher, they can then show up supply into the market to stabilize prices. The other issue and other twist to this argument, Roland, is that if you look at our road transport system today, 97% of the energy mix of our road transport system comes from diesel and then petrol. Why are we not looking at EV vehicles? Why are we not looking at vehicles that are powered by LNG, CNG?
In the medium to long term?
In the long term.
Okay.
In the long term. I remember as far back as 2019, I proposed it to the MPP government that let us look at. I did. 19. And I worked on.
At the time you were in the MPP?
I was in the MPP. I proposed it that, look, if you look at the whole West African sub-region, Roland, most of these trucks that bring in food from Niger, even tomatoes from Burkina Faso, rice from Togo, Nigeria, and all that, right, rely heavily on diesel. And I can tell you that if these trucks are powered by LNG, we will save the cost of transportation by 40%. And that Ghana could have taken that advantage, right, to be a strategic hub for the production of LNG. Under the aegis of the automotive policy that Honorable Alan Kodo-Tramante formulated, we had 6 of the largest global automotive companies that are assembling vehicles here. Zonda is here. And Zonda has vehicles that run on LNG, which we could have leveraged on that.
The one he did as trade minister.
Yes, we could have leveraged on that. If the NDC government, the MPP government, took that proposal seriously and invested in what we were proposing at that time. Roland, then we come to commercial transport. In other jurisdictions, they use CNG, compressed natural gas. We have to look at ways of diversifying our energy mix, so that, indeed, if the price of crude oil is higher, we have other other sources that we can tap on to mitigate the issues of inflation on the market. And indeed,
and cushion consumers.
And cushion consumers. Right? And so I want to see that taken up by the NDC. Let's look at CNG. Let's look at LNG. Let's look at also EV vehicles. And I am happy to be one of the proponents championing a chamber for EV vehicles and the EV industry in Ghana. We are putting out, we finalized the charter, and we are trying to work with various stakeholders to ensure that indeed Ghana goes green in the future. And I know that Edudzi will not be happy because it is against his interests.
No, to be honest, you see, the ministry is now called Ministry of Energy.
Yes, but I'm just saying that MPA, you self-production product. So I'm just saying.
In fact, we have actually diversified into that sphere. You know, I took over from the authority with a gas directorate just to focus on those other alternative fuel. So CNG and all of those are matters, are conversations that we are even having. Now we are even doing a baseline research to even want to understand if we have about 100,000 EV cars in Ghana today, what will be the impact on fuel consumption? What will be the impact on the electricity consumption? Because that will help us in planning for the future. Okay. So it is a conversation we have embraced.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So these are Lanchamatis policy.
Yes. Now,
that's a
government. Yes.
Now, Roland, the twist to the matter.
The icing on the cake.
Gold for oil policy. The saints from the MPP, saints in quotes, who are professing solutions today, let them tell us about the gold for oil policy. How much we lost in that policy? 2.15 billion Ghana cedis.
What's your point? They were all parts of the initiative to show up the.
What did it do? It didn't do anything. And if you look at the history of that policy itself, the country that implemented that policy was Israel under the Ramadan War, Yom Kippur War, right? Of which there was an embargo on Israel by the OPEC countries led by Saudi Arabia. Israel had to then divert its, purchase of petroleum products using gold. They did not study that historic situation very well, closely. The gold for oil policy, we did not know who were the middlemen or brokers whatsoever. Edudzi, are you aware of anything at the MPA? Do you have any records? Roland, do you understand my point? So if you look at no, but my point is that I'm citing because you're an authority.
I get you.
Yes,
I get you.
You understand my point? So the last thing we want to hear as Ghanaians is the MPP trying to criticize or trying to play politics with this matter.
But they have a right, don't they?
They have a right to express. But I'm just saying that their record, they should argue based on their records. Right? They should counter their records. If they have anything to say, they should refer to their records. That's why I'm saying that if you look at the things I have told you about, and even in 2024, ESLA's revenue declined by 6%, where they could not, collect a revenue of 553 million Ghana cedis or so, right? And that is why in 2025, ESLA had to be built up by the government, unprecedented in the history of Republic. So there are challenging issues. We need to go back to the drawing books and diversify our energy mix. Indeed, when it comes to even electricity production, it's nothing to write home about. This current issue that we are discussing would also have an effect on the cost of electricity, because as we speak today, 70% of Ghana's electricity, right, is produced by thermal power plants, which is not sustainable. It should have been a short-term intervention for doing so, but in the long term, we should have looked at nuclear. We should have looked like hydro. Roland, do you understand what I'm saying? And this is where sometimes the politics is determining policies rather than sustainable solutions in this country. So indeed, these are discussions that we can have, and we have to be objective. The MPP should be the last political party to
They just left government.
Roland, I've just given you some data. Look at the data, analyze, and
so they should give the government respite.
Roland, I'm just telling you that if you let a CD decline by minus 77%, somebody has come within 2 years, appreciated by 41%, which is having an effect on the prices of petroleum products. Of course, what we have to do is to commend them and to support them as a responsible opposition for the collective good of Ghana. But not to sit on this platform and try and play politics with this matter.
God bless you.
Edudzi, so where do we go from here? The two cities is no.
You move from here to there.
No,
so you're supposed to come to.
So I went.
Oh
to
no,
him.
you yield to him. You
then I came to him.
You
Okay.
yield to him.
You see,
Lawyer Mercer, you have the floor.
I am hesitant, okay, in going back to do comparisons of previous administrations and.
But you just did 2022
I'm coming. I'm only making reference to the statement that the current president in opposition made. But if you allege that the MPP, right, cumulatively during its tenure, the cedi depreciated by 77%. And you don't go back to do what it is that pertained during the NDC between 2009 to 2016. Cumulatively, the cedi depreciated by 111.6%.
That's at what?
15% in 29, 3.1% following year 4.9, 2010, 2011, 17.5, 2012, 14.4, 2013, 31.3, 2014, 15.7, 2015, 9.7.
What were the real figures?
But I've given you year-on-year figures during the tenure of the NDC. He says
you've given percentages.
Yes, of course. The exchange rate depreciation. He says that the MPP was so terrible a government that cumulatively the cedi depreciated by 77% under its tenure. And so we don't have a right to criticize.
He mentioned 17.
Please, he says 77%.
77%. 2022, 30%. 2023, 28%.
And I'm saying that during the first NDC one on the president,
and I'm saying that,
will you allow me to make my point?
I'm making you.
Please. You sat here.
Let's go.
And listen to him.
So what he said was that the cedi went up to 17.
No.
And then
no.
And then added the 77%. So you have chosen the percentage side. And I'm asking the real figure of.
He said that cumulatively, under the MPP, the cedi depreciated by 77%. You made that point.
That's right.
And I'm saying, and that because of that, the MPP has no right to criticize the NDC, which has appreciated the cedi during 1 year by 44%. That's your point. And I'm saying, if that is the case, then go back to the period between 2009 and 2016, when under the NDC, the cedi depreciated cumulatively by 111.6%. Let's not do this.
Comparisons.
You see, look, let's be candid with the data. So if MPP was bad, how would you describe the NDC? Yet you say that we should praise them and not talk. When we know that all the fundamentals that were laid as a result of the difficult decisions that the MPP took post the crisis. And look, I agree. You may characterize it any which way you want. But I will never accept that the MPP mismanaged the economy. Because we inherited issues. We did. We inherited issues in the energy sector. We inherited issues in the banking sector. We made policy choices which had implications. Akufo-Addo could have elected that, well, these bills are not bills that are incurred, so I'm not going to pay. We would have slept in darkness for that period. Okay? But he made a policy choice that, look, these bills ought to be paid, so we generate productivity. And so, rather than wait for 5-6 years for ESLA proceeds to trickle in, whilst I'm unable to pay my bills, let me take some debt up front to settle the IPPs and then use the proceeds to service the debt that I've contracted to pay the bill. That's the collateralization of the ESLA. And you say what? was a policy choice. Now, when COVID came, the government could have elected that it wasn't going to borrow to improve or protect the lives of Ghanaians. But it made a policy choice that it was going to discard economic indicators and borrow to ensure that Ghanaians were protected. It came with a cost, such that yes, when the Russian-Ukraine war occurred, our finances had deteriorated to the point that we had no choice than to go to the IMF. It was a policy choice. It wasn't mismanagement. But you can characterize it any which way you want. The point is,
so what you're saying is that the sum of the policy choices that the
of course, and the
made, that's what took us to the IMF.
And same way the policy choice that the MPP made, which had political cost, was the debt restructuring that the NDC is benefiting from today.
How?
The IMF program, it came with consequences. Your own look at the IMF document.
Self-inflicted.
But I'm saying that it was a policy choice.
Yeah.
If those debts had not been paid, if the Akufo-Addo government had not borrowed to deal with those matters.
So now the DDP was a good thing.
But of course it was. But it had the cost. It had a political cost. The IMF exit document itself.
The pension funds and all those things that
I'm saying that yes, that's the
good thing.
That was the sacrifice that the Ghanaians had to make.
But
as a result of the poor policy choices, according to you.
I haven't said it was a poor policy choice.
Okay, but as a result,
don't put words in my mouth.
I'm not
please.
putting words.
I'm saying
as a result of the
listen,
policy choices that were made, that
I'm
you
saying
say
to you that
have a political.
It was the policy choice that we made into restructuring our obligations had a cost. The cost was that the MPP suffered electorally, but the benefit was that it cleared the way for the economic recovery that we are witnessing today. And I'm crediting the Ghanaians who had to bear the cost, the brunt of that policy choice for the sacrifice that they made in ensuring that we are able to put back our economy back on track. Read the IMF exit documentation. It clearly acknowledges the policy choices that the MPP administration made, which then paved the way for the economic recovery. Yes, of course.
Debt restructuring was good.
I'm saying that it had a cost. Debt restructuring, both external and domestic. The external provided us significant relief that had helped in shaping our debt to GDP ratio today. It's a matter of fact. But that choice cost us. But it was a choice that we had to make for the broader interest of the people of Ghana and the economy of Ghana. When His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo said in 2020, in the heat of the COVID, that the economy we know how to bring back, but human lives we did not know how to bring back when we lost, was a policy choice that he had to make in putting our economic fundamentals in jeopardy, purely to protect the Ghanaian citizen. And he did.
A lot of our viewers are surprised that you are saying that the DDP or the external debt return was good.
But it was a good policy.
Seriously?
But of course, if we hadn't done that, our economy would not have turned around.
But you are indicating that
but I told you how we got there.
You said the policy choices that the Akufo-Addo Bawumia-led government took.
You overborrowed.
Which had political cost.
I'm saying, see,
as a result of that.
Roland,
yes, sir.
Thankfully, I'm not speaking to you.
Right.
Thankfully, I'm speaking to the discerning listeners and viewers who are watching us. The point that I made was very clear. That the MPP administration, when we came into government, we inherited issues that we needed to deal with. How we dealt with them was to borrow to deal with them. Such that by the time that COVID came and Russia and Ukraine war came, and by the way, the supply chain disruptions that were occasioned in the immediate aftermath of the Russian-Ukraine war hasn't persisted throughout. So let it not be said that because the war is still there, that in itself ought to necessarily have an impact on our economy going forward. Please, let's be sincere with our discourses, okay? But the point that I'm making is that those choices, right, had a cost that cost the MPP politically. But economically,
people lost money as a result of
I
the
agree,
DDEP.
but that's why I'm crediting
you are
them
telling them
with the
today that it
sacrifice
was
that they
good.
made. But the choice was a good choice economically. But it impacted people. I'm not under any stretch of the imagination discounting the impact.
Is it not rather that we have no choice than to do the DEP?
Please. Akufo-Addo could have elected to do many other things. But the debt restructuring was important because at the time, the market that we are relying on in the past, succeeding government status, of course,
yeah.
Our economy had been downgraded.
Yeah.
Many other issues contributed to that, including your parliament. Your parliament.
The 136, 137.
Yes. I haven't said the MPP NDC side.
No, our parliament, the Republic of Ghana and the 16th parliament
breached the law. Are you aware?
But you are a member of that parliament.
But I'm saying that your parliament breached the law that itself had passed. And precisely Section 22 of the Public Financial Management Act, which enjoined Parliament to do 3 things by 31st December. Approve the budget, pass appropriations and revenue measures that will go to implement the budget. The Parliament of Ghana breached that law. It had consequences. So let's not sit and pretend as if to say, yeah, we can play all the politics we want. Blame Akufo-Addo's government, say all the kinds of characterizations that we want. I don't have any difficulty. But the fact still remains. But for those economic decisions that Akufo-Addo government took, which had positive long-term benefits, albeit impacted Ghanaian citizens whose funds were jeopardized, right? To the extent that it cost us politically, we wouldn't be seeing the kind of economic turnaround that we've seen under the NDC. These are matters of fact. Any which way you twist it. And that said, I'm not saying that they haven't done some, because you reference gold for oil. It had issues.
Okay, now you admit it had issues.
But it had issues.
Okay, great.
Same with gold purchase program has issues and losses that are being recorded on Bank of Ghana's books. But if it wasn't a good policy, why have they consolidated it into gold board? So you learn, you make corrections to issues that are associated with the policy and improve it for the better. And that's exactly what this government has done, that we all commend. Albeit the fact that indeed and in fact, as we speak, gold board is incurring losses. Okay? But that said, monetizing our gold or natural resources in itself is a good policy. And at the time when we introduced gold for oil, it was precisely to stop the forward pricing of what you call it, that the BDCs were using to price petroleum products, or at least reduce it to some minimum to have a handle over petroleum prices. And that, in fact, succeeded. So what are you talking about?
COPEC disagrees with you. Go and check COPEC.
All right, Edudzi.
COPEC disagrees with you. That one.
Go and check the report.
Edudzi, so there's a substantive question I intended to ask you. So where do we move from here? This is supposed to last for 2 months. We still have 1 month. Okay, we still have the stalemate. Small time, the US or Trump goes to bomb. There are reprisal attacks also from Iran in retaliation, etc. It destabilizes the market. So what does it mean for us, the consumers?
Roland, listening to my senior this morning,
on this one, you seem very calm.
I noticed that my senior had been saying a lot, and obviously I can imagine the difficulty he finds himself. You see, like I told you to try play the video settles the conversation. You see, how a president reacts when things are normal is different from how a president reacts when there are crises. And I'm making the point that President John Dramani Mahama faced with an unprecedented crisis. Look, the literature today shows that the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz is the biggest energy crisis since 1972.
Since the 1972 crisis.
Since the 1972 crisis. This is the big, there's no energy crisis compared to this one. So you cannot this morning try to equate the events in Russia, Ukraine, to what is currently happening on the Strait of Hormuz. You can't do that. Even most importantly, this morning, my learned senior says, oh, President Mahama in the past said Ukraine is far from. It was in direct response. If you recall, in 2015, after Minister Setekwe had read the budget, cocoa prices of crude started falling. Never imagined. From $85 to almost $40 for crude. At that time, when government said that crisis had impacted on its finances, not long, Dr. Baobia, then opposition running mate, did a press conference and said, what is the Mahama administration talking about? Did these exogenous factors escape Ivory Coast and others to come to Ghana? So it was in that response, that context, that President Mahama said, then you cannot also today be using Russia-Ukraine war as this thing. But you see, my senior tried to do some voodoo economics and analysis this morning. Why do I say voodoo? He knows that ESLA PLC, the ESLA receivables, had the capacity to retire even the legacy debts.
45 billion cedis.
No, but he said they had.
Please. 45.
They had to take an important policy decision.
Listen,
Subsequent
45 billion Ghana cedis ESLA receivables from 2015 December to the time.
Go there.
Please, I am there.
Don't.
Until they left office. Unfortunately, do you know what happened? What exactly did they use the ESLA receivables for? When they decided to set up the ESLA PLC and decided to securitize the receivables, what became the end? I've made this point repeatedly, that in 6 years, in fact less than 6 years, over $11 billion of Eurobond is what we went for. That $11 billion of Eurobond, there's no Kumasi Expressway constructed with it.
I have to interject.
There is no Swami interchange did with that.
This point.
There is no hospital built with that. There is no Swalugu done with it. There is no...
with respect.
Okay.
With respect. Let's be factual.
But that's a fact.
No, it's not. Because you know that the Eurobond proceeds that were contracted, a chunk of it was used to refinance previous Eurobonds that have been contracted.
So that's
you know.
So
you know.
see,
As a matter
let
of
me make
fact.
my point. Let me
so
make
if
my
you
point.
put out a blanket statement that the Akufo-Addo government contracted 11 billion Eurobonds,
it's a fact.
to then suggest
Is it
that
not
they
a
had
fact?
11 billion to
Is it
do
not a
infrastructure
fact?
projects,
Is it not a fact?
and according to you,
How much of it
which
did
is
you
not
use
even the case
for the debt,
there is no-
reprofiling of our
it's all
debt?
there.
How much
The
did
data
you
is
use?
there.
How much
About
did you use?
60% of it.
Please,
It all goes into reprofiling
You never.
of previous
Okay, the
Eurobond debt.
40%, what did you
know,
use?
but of course,
Consumption.
What do you mean by consumption?
Edidie.
And like you're saying,
And how much did
you have a budget that has a revenue and an expenditure component.
You are done.
Some of the revenue goes into recurrent expenditure.
Stay calm.
Some goes into capital expenditure. You fund the budget with that money.
You see,
What is the meaning of all
the
this?
Akufo-Addo administration got more tax revenue than any administration proud today coming to power. So beyond the tax revenues that you got, you also got Eurobond. Even let's say, for the sake of your argument, that 60% were for the reprofiling of existing debts. The 40% of that $11 billion of Eurobond, where are the hospitals? Where are the roads? Where are the expressways? None whatsoever.
No, there's Agenda 111, even though it wasn't completed.
Please, Agenda 111 was not financed with Eurobond.
Yes,
Don't
I know, but
put up this claim. But you see, this morning, my interest is to talk about leadership response to crisis. And I am saying that President John Dramani Mahama has demonstrated fortitude, care for the people of this country, that in the midst of crisis, He didn't fold his arm. Look, if I tell you how my minister, the Honorable John, doctor, in fact, he's a GTech certified PhD, where he's made the point clear as early as Saturday, he has been on me about these fuel prices. So, Senior Egyapa, if you don't see him on TV, jumping here and there, it's because he's finding solutions to basic problems confronting our people. And for me, I believe that that is what leadership is all about. Look, my attention has just been drawn to a publication on my joy, where my senior had to debunk a story about government asking Guel or so to reduce fuel prices and others. Because even at that time, we were expecting the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to intervene for our people. Unfortunately, it never happened. So let us have it clear. Now, you also make the point that, UPPF funds, excess UPPF funds had been used. First of all, the UPPF fund, for all intent and purpose, are government funds for whatever is worth.
Government funds go into the consolidated fund.
No, it's not all government funds.
All government funds, all public funds go into the consolidated fund.
Senior, not all public funds go into the consolidated fund. They don't lose their They don't lose their publicness because they didn't go into the consolidated fund. So the point I am making is that if President Mahama, in this critical moment, decides to intervene and to make life easier for our people, that is what it is. When my brother Inusa was making the analysis, Inusa, let me even add something to it. Do you know that we will be selling fuel today at 28 cedis per liter? If the exchange rate was even at 14 Ghana cedi to $1? Yes. Simply by making sure that you resolve the exchange problem. That is what has brought the relative calmness in the pricing. If not by now, because already your FOB is going up, your exchange rate is also depreciating very quickly. The two impacts are huge. And so prices would have skyrocketed. Okay. But it has taken thinking outside the box to keep us here. The point I am making is that, look, Senior Egyapa is here. Look, beyond our politics, you would agree with me, would you not, that for a government to introduce even Gold Board initiative, which today has ensured that forest repatriation alone into the economy is over $10 billion. This $10 billion, Senior, you would agree, that would have been in private pockets. Today, the state is able to move this thing. Today, our reserves have shot up in unprecedented numbers. These things are not matters that happen with magical, expectations. Thinking outside the box. There are men handling the economy today who with confidence.
Your time is
okay, up. Who with confidence and competence have been able to keep
Duncan, it's on the stream, so let me quickly.
You can't take that away from them.
Dr. Inusa, you talk. I'll give you some 2 minutes before you end. But
my point is that it cannot be as they have spent. That's what I'm trying to let you understand. There's an audit to that effect, and he understands what I'm talking about. Roland, let's look at even the banking sector cleanup exercise. An issue that needed 9 billion cedis. You spend 25 billion cedis.
You explain that.
Right? So these are the examples of mismanagement. Roland. So now, this is the solution that we want to profess to the people of Ghana and to the government of Ghana. Roland, look, let us go back to the vision of Nkrumah. And yes, and revitalize the Volta Lake Transport Company Limited so that we can be able to transport goods, right, and food items from the north to the south, which will save up cost of transportation, which then has a pass on inflation onto the end consumer. Let us begin to have a very honest conversation about railway links between our various regions. And I believe that if we're able to integrate railway infrastructure, that today I can wake up in Accra today, the next morning you can see me in Kumasi effortlessly. We should be able to revitalize this agenda. And indeed, it will go a long way to diversifying our transport means as a country so that we can be able to mitigate the issues of exogenous factors when it comes to the prices of crude oil.
Thank you so much. Ramsey Nusa, Dr. Ramsey Nusa, then Edudzi Tamaklo, thank you as well. And Thursday, right?
Why? I don't have 3 minutes to respond to.
No, you have.
No, you've responded to all
I
of
think
us.
everybody else, you have
Today you gave him the time, but we knew that.
You spoke more than I spoke.
Yeah, we knew you won't have much.
You spoke more than
even
I
though he has
erroneous
and often cited cost of the banking sector cleanup. I challenge him to provide on the next platform that he appears here, the document that says that the banking cleanup required 9 billion.
But
provide it.
You said that is the liquidity.
Initially.
What liquidity what? Liquidity what? Liquidity what? What liquidity
to save votes.
In 2025.
Anyway, our time is up. Big issue is brought to you by.
I was saying, Inti and Common and no, not medical catch will say. So that is it. Inti medical catch will say MPP as a political party. No, she say omu kutuku mfa kuranshim. They have been in opposition for almost 3 years now. 2 years now. Sorry, 2 years now. Omunyanya any tangible reasons be a was a Ghana for etwaba at the moment in the next election. Na sadie we mena make a chow a tormenti bomia papa. Anya bomia kwa or tormenti NPP fraternity no. NPP amanyukuno. I'm telling you, a young wordma because Omuni say and at least the Omoko positioner and MPP NDC for by you. Ombeye name be a bema a year sebi a year Ghana for whom a year NDC for him. Nanka Ghana for again momentum on MPP. But it seems say Abusia, it seems say the more or more try no. The more everything gets miserably. More trying now, not a name any thing. Enkuyi emfa mom what you say. So it's very sad. And I've always been telling you say MPP as a political party, they need to learn in a hard way. They need to learn in a hard way. They need to learn in a hard way in opposition. Any consent go forward. Your son echo form edu mobile by mu simple. Because omo ye Ghana for ye ho adwuma papa. Mo yire fi won dollar no mo yire free. Say ye say ye tenase na ya ka kai mo niema MPP edi ye famu a abusun uti mu be hihyew say ye ka kai mo a someone can say so mobile ko the face it is by that is right the face it is by but let me tell you one thing and more policy no we had students in this country. Now almost saw camera this morning. Now almost saw the sitting president then, President Kufado. It didn't them because the more Kuguskuma, Biania was the ma or mono. They were not getting it. And yes, they will supply you no. But then you no one casa in crop for a aqua within a Kojina court, Hanan. Or no, and no supply Sabian. But first stocks you will be say Sabian and Nisikan F5 na NMPP 40 million daji etinase ekokan ho asese o Hanan no kra no only for onye say ye ni charges be against you bisa ho say adan na woni charge against any person now the be na court na on see you for defamation onsi wo se wo okra no waste ni time o se ni mre isan se o dina be gina court wo mre kon wunya evidence wunya charges be against him na still na Hanan ene ne yiri eda so gina court na no kwa na meti ani se ne yiri so opekwan akọ UK akọhwe ne maya deals akwa na keka nsim bi na me se yi awrade Ghana for so de eto de bia Ghana abofu sa de yeti bi wo yasom wo aban achew a wo ye de nsa ato akatua ne wo niam bibia so no ojapade so no wasin nya ho ekosere court ne se o wo no wo occasion bi wo UK nti ye ma okanya na ko na sa ayi no kra no application ni judge kroti asianka me no kurum ha enti judge no wabagu enti MPP for ebetina so no sika na wo se di omani yi no no kwase me wo mi se omodi yi omu yi MPP for betina kurum ha sika wo se di omani yi no these people took that money to enrich themselves kinufurata bisa ho sa de na kinufurata mpeso baba Ghana na emra na eda ho no oba ne ya pompo na edwa ko sade na ya etia no ye de omumfa ya eni hwe kra na itimi ka sade na omumfa ntu pezi na mama mo klemu se mabobra MPP voi adan na kinufurata ntimi magana na makoma no atum ho. That is the question as a Ghanaian you need to ask MPP. Bisa that question bisa MPP for say adan na kinufurata from retintini we MPP betina ba kinufurata ntimi setting nine e wo Ghana no. Na still na MPP for pese eto abade momo. He was the finance minister. No, and Ghana is sick a seminar ni kutano. But this man, he has run away from this country. Ever since MPP took the what? Sorry, NDC took the mantle from MPP. And MPP for they see it. They see it as normal. They don't talk about it. Among us, and the yobodia. Na Egyapa Mercer betina hodom useless analysis on fuel. Na mo ye kan mo fuel bo course no kurum ha uselessly without anything. Mo sheda ma fuel ne course no keke. Mo na mo koton tema oil refinery for about $22 million or so whatever. Yen kan mo ma asemo. MPP for yen kan mo ma asem. And the mo betina no say but it has it has the what the fundamentals, the factors that has caused that. MPP a many do ye mono na you had the kudinti amatu fu but still na mudin to the Ghana for. It be someone MPP for still na mudin to the Ghana for no more Ghana for Timwana. I'm Ghana for Tim. It depends MPP ni empeno correct. That is the painful truth. Nipa MPP ni empeso beti so who can correct you. But always opeso no achiro say unyansa editing. That is such arrogance. The wokurum ha emmo mining koneni. Inti mamimfa wonsi. Ente Egyapa Mercer ayemide say yura Edudzi Tamaklo eto no boase ekirikire niemu mu na okiro se wunnim hwe obonde kukra wunnim hwe wabon. I was so proud. Kira waju ko message. God bless you. Bye bye.